Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Felsbrunn Farm. And we're starting very early in the morning, just before 6 o'clock, because this is the final time we will see the sun rise up over the hills through our trees. We are going to be cutting them down today, so I just wanted to kind of enjoy the sunrise. And you can see with the clouds coming in and the sun behind those trees at the moment, it just creates this wonderful sort of dark patch here as a negative light source. And as soon as that rises up, it'll flood this area with illumination and really will start to look quite special. There is our logging trailer. This is our yard set up as we stand at the moment, with all the equipment kind of allocated to its own bays and put away now. We have the combine, the two tractors, our trailers there. That's the low loader, the bale trailer setup just there. Then our logging equipment. Put our fertilizer in there now. With that spare pallet of lime, it's only got like 24 litres in it. Our spreaders, well, I'd say our weeder and our seed sprayer, then our seeders, and then our stock. So it's all kind of organised quite neatly and nicely. There's the sun rising just there, right in the centre of the screen. So yeah, we're going to be cutting down some trees today. Our crops are in. Harvested those last night. And you can see we've got a bit of weed growing on the fields now. That's fine. We'll be getting rid of that when we cultivate the fields and plant the next crop. Same on this one as well. And we've got just a fraction over 40,000 litres of soybean, as we did last time as well. So let's start off cutting down some of our trees. Let's go in a nice straight line, get them to sort of fall into the field. And this is why I wanted to wait until we brought the harvest in, because there isn't really space for them to fall any other way. So drop them into the fields. Like so. And then to make sure that they fall the other way, for this side we're going to rotate our chainsaw 180 degrees, and that'll now fall into the field in the other side. As a general rule, the chainsaw, the way it cuts, the tree will fall in the direction that you're cutting. So because we're cutting at a straight angle like this, it falls at a straight angle like that. Now if we were to cut at that angle, like that, then the tree would fall this way, like that, and would fall diagonally across that way. So that's an easy way to manage where your tree will end up when you're cutting them down, if you're new to logging or you don't really do it that much. A little sort of helpful hint for you there. Of course, I would love to be able to use the new Komatsu tree harvester to do this, but it's just so expensive and we have no money at all. We're at minus 6,000 euros and counting. Our loan interest alone is about 6,700 euros a day because of our 1.2 million loan that we still have to pay off. And hopefully these trees will make a nice big dent in that. Just trying to clean all these little offshoot branches off the tree. There we go. Still can't sprint when holding a chainsaw, or at least not a running one anyway, which is probably a good thing. I mean, it's not exactly the safest thing in the world to do, is it, to run with a chainsaw? You slip and you trip, and that chainsaw could go anywhere and do any number of horrible bits of damage to you. So I can kind of understand why that's not modelled into the game. There we go. Delimbing these trees quite nicely. There we go. There's a train rolling through. Sun still isn't quite high enough yet to really sort of flood the area with light, but we're getting there. There we go. Now the same on this side, we'll delimb these 4 trees, and then we'll start cutting them up. And we're going to kind of measure with a log to see how long it needs to be to fit into the back of our stepper trailer. And then we'll use that as a kind of a template for our remaining logs that we need to cut from each tree. So we'll cut one and then move it around as a guide point. And of course we don't have to worry about weight being too heavy for us to physically pick up, because the stepper trailer, which is one of the reasons I went for that particular trailer, does come with a logging claw of its own, so we can basically we could have gone for a cheaper alternative. We could have gone for the timber runner, and who knows, maybe I will end up getting rid of the stepper and moving over to the timber runner, but it's been so long since I've used that. I don't think I used it at all in Farming Sim 17, having used it a fair bit in 15. I just thought it'd be quite nice to give that a run out, because as I say, it's a piece of equipment I personally haven't used in about 2 years or so, maybe longer, and I wanted to see how it handles this time around. Something a little bit different than just loading everything with a timber runner. I'm hoping it might possibly speed things up a little bit, having that crane attached, so I can park the trailer up and just pick up logs quite quickly, rather than having to constantly do it with a logging claw on a front loader. So let's configure our tractor. See, we've still got the weight attached, that's good. We're going to need that, but we'll need it at the back for counterbalance. Let's customise. Let's get rid of the Nokians. I want to go with wides and weights. There we go. Front loader, yes. And there's that light starting to spill over the top. Look how glorious does that look through our trees. Right, where did I leave the front loader? I think I left it around here with the chickens, didn't I? We are going to need to clean them up, so we'll do that, and then we'll grab our log claw. Our chickens are still reproducing because we did sell a lot of their numbers. I did add in a second rooster yesterday, and then watched, and I didn't see a difference in the reproduction rate, but I didn't close the game out, and so maybe that has to happen. Obviously I have now since restarted the file, so let's see if that has changed the reproduction rate. No, it's still 4 hours and 45 minutes, and 3 chickens have been, or at least 2 chickens have been born, as it were, since then. 2 chickens have been reproduced since I added in the second rooster. So it doesn't look as though roosters do actually seem to make any difference, or at least just an individual rooster. Maybe you would need a batch of roosters to have any kind of significant impact on the reproduction rate, but I think what I might possibly do is I might get rid of the roosters entirely and just see what the chickens do without them. So I need the log claw, which is our center tool over here. Oops, knocked over the forks. Look at the way the light shines off the T6, it's glorious. And there's the light coming through the trees. It's a beautiful effect. Look at the shadows on the fields. We're not going to have that effect after today. All these trees will disappear, so... Right. Now I need the case. And this is going to be towing the stepper. And the basic idea is to see just how long a log we're going to need, or how long a log we can comfortably fit on before it sticks out the back too much. So I want to get closer to the tree, and this will help us determine how we make our cuts. So I want that to be just inside that grill plate, about there. Okay, so we're looking about here for these logs to sit pretty comfortably. Okay. Oops, wrong device. Those logs aren't that long, really, are they, in the grand scheme of things? Oops, wrong button. There we go. So, about there. There we go. And then we'll get one last. So we're going to get like 5 and a bit logs per tree by the look of it, which is pretty good. I mean, obviously they're not amazingly long logs, but yeah, each tree should be worth a decent amount of money. And there we go, one end bit. So, now that we've done that, let's start pushing these trees forward. This is where it's going to get a little bit tricky. Because of the weight properties of the tree. Means you can't push from the center. Plus the trees are going to naturally roll against each other and they're not going to stay perfectly lined up. As you can see there, that first one's rolled away a bit. There we go. I'll try and slide these up to our guide tree, kind of like that. Just push them up a little bit more on this side, and now, in theory, it should be really easy to make the cuts on these, because I've got those cut pieces in front of me as a guide point for where to make my cuts. So we're looking about here. And step back. And step back again. Where's the next cut? Is that a one piece? Seems like quite a long piece if it is just one piece. It looks more like 2 bits stuck together. Yeah, there's the cut, just there. Really hard to see, but that there is the cut. So we want to go about there. Step back. And step back again. Same again, find our join and just step all the way back to cut each log in the same spot. There we go. And you can use this principle for, for whatever length you want to do. So if you are using a timber runner, for example, and you want to cut 8-meter length logs or very long logs, then there's no reason why you couldn't do that. Same kind of principle. Stick the trailer alongside the first tree. Get a rough idea as to how long that tree piece needs to be. Cut it. Then reposition the trailer if you need to get an extra log in there. And do the same again, and so on and so forth, until you've got all your pieces cut quite nicely and easily. And it's going to be a little bit trickier on this side, so what I'll do on this is I'll just push the trees together, and then we'll do the initial cuts at some other point. Because otherwise we're going to have stumps and all sorts, and the fact the trees are the wrong way around as well. So we'll treat these separately. But it gives us the opportunity to... oops, a little bit too high on the claw there. It gives us the opportunity to basically go down and cut the rest of that side of trees down, cut all of those into the field, and then push them all the way down towards the end there, bit by bit, and hopefully we'll be able to keep them under control while we're doing that. And if we do find it's becoming a little bit too tricky, then again we can just kind of cluster them up a little bit, get them all clumped together, and there's no reason why we couldn't just do a fresh set of measurement cuts like that. So the hardest thing here is just making sure that we can get these trees lined up square. That was relatively straightforward last time. It's been a little bit trickier this time. I'm going to use the weight here to try and push them back a touch. There we go, and those are pretty well lined up. It's not perfect, but they'll do. So there we go. That is how I'm going to be doing my logging, getting them all kind of pushed together and lined up. So I'm going to carry on cutting down the rest of the trees on this left-hand side, and then start pushing them down towards this end of the field, and then we can get them all loaded up. In fact, I could do it the other way round. I could push them all up that way so that they're closer to the logging plant. That might be a better way to do it, actually. So yeah, we'll push them all up to the other end of the field, and that way we've got less distance to travel to the sawmill when we come to sell them. So I'll get cutting, and I'll see you in a little while. Alright, so it's been a while since I've used this, so let's pull up the help menu. I'm trying to remember, does this have support feet? It looks like it does. Oh, that's interesting. I can actually control it from inside the tractor. Now that's something we couldn't do before. Okay. Trying to figure out all the controls for this thing. Does look like it's telescopic. I think it's going to be easier to control inside. Let's check out view cameras as well. So we've got 2 view cameras. Where is... Okay, so it doesn't... It almost looks as though it does have a telescopic reach, but I can't quite seem... It just looks like it's automatic when you straighten the arm out like that. It's not something you can manually control by the look of it. Which is fair enough. So let's try loading. These controls feel a little bit strange. I think I need to see if I can change these a little bit. There is an invert y-axis. Now I have heard that it doesn't seem to work. That's easy arm controls. Turns on simplified controls. Okay, let's turn those off. Let's see if that works better. Ah, there we go. So that's how we get the... Yeah. So I had simplified controls on, and that's why I wasn't able to use the telescopic range of the arm. So I figured it had telescopic range. I couldn't understand why it wasn't working. Now we know why. How does that log look in terms of positioning? Not too bad. You can see we have this large gap here in the middle of our trailer. That's so that if you are front loading in here, you know, you can get the claw in on the front loader and then get it back out again. There we go, that's more like it. Alright, now can I grab 2 logs at once? Very easily. Let's try properly. There we go. I still think I should have support feet for this thing. They're there, I just haven't quite figured out how to... Oh, hang on. No, that's the arm. It says control group crane 1, but I can't figure out how to get it onto control group crane 2. How do I get the feet of the crane to come down? That's my tension belts. Trying button combinations like crazy. Maybe I need to disconnect it. No. Alright, this is frustrating because there are feet here that fold out to give it support, and I can't for the life of me figure out how to get those feet to actually come out. I can't figure out how to change my control group from 1 to 2 to be able to do that. It's just nothing I'm trying is working. And you can hear me just trying different button combinations and nothing is working. That's really annoying. Really annoying, because I know this thing would be so much more stable with those feet folded out, but I just can't for the life of me figure out how to do it. I think it's entirely possible that frustration might get the better of me and I might just get rid of this and get a timber runner going forward. Ah, dear oh dear. because this is turning into a nightmare. You can see it's wobbling all over the place, and it shouldn't be doing that. There is supposed to be a way to as I say, get those feet to stick out and go down, support feet, to stop this thing from twisting and rolling from side to side under the weight of the logs. And I can't for the life of me figure out what it is. But one thing that doesn't seem to have changed is just how poor the log claw mechanics seem to be. You know, they do seem to be very bad at gripping logs again. The logs just continually push against each other, and I was really hoping that that would have improved, and that does not seem to be the case so far. You see how the trailer is rocking from side to side? That's what those support feet are designed to stop. And I can't get them to work. So I can see myself getting very frustrated with this particular bit of equipment as a result of that, and just getting rid of it. I think a timber runner is going to be a better option, certainly a cheaper option. These controls don't respond the way I used. Like, yeah, I'm used to logging controls responding. It's like they move in different areas. I think I've been playing too many different games with sort of claw mechanics, and between this and Spin Tires and Construction Simulator 2, it's just 3 different ways, or 3 different games with claw and crane mechanics like this, and the other 2 seem to have very similar controls to this one, which just to each other, and this one just seems completely alien in terms of how they've configured the arm controls. And yeah, this is just a nightmare. So I'm actually going to get rid of the stepper. But for now, we're going to load the rest of the logs using our New Holland. We'll fill it up. We'll send it over with a full trailer of logs. We'll do that for the 4 trees that we've cut already. And then we'll take it down to the store, we'll sell it, we'll get a timber runner, and then we can recut our trees based on a timber runner instead, and make things a little bit easier on ourselves, I think. Alright, so first load here, you can see we've got quite a few, oh god damn, this camera, the collision thing, quite a few logs on the back here. Let's see how much we can get for these. These are all quite good sized, straight, thick cut pieces of wood, so we should hopefully get a decent little amount of cash for each of these. You can see the weeds there growing quite out of control on that particular field. That's fine, we'll be getting rid of those when we seed. There we go. How much is this going to be worth for us? 8.5 grand. Oh wow, that's nice. That's very nice. 8.5 grand for just a few bits of wood like that. When you consider how many trees we've got, we could make some serious money today. Some serious money indeed. So we're going to have to juggle our time speed at some point. We're on ×5 at the moment. We'll have to slow down to real time, just because this has been taking us way too long so far. It'd be interesting as well to see, once we've cleared these first 4 trees, how much we make in total. And then once we switch to different size logs, how much we make in total for those. So we may, even with the timber runner, still end up cutting our logs quite short. We'll try varying some different log sizes, on some different loads and see how we do. And we'll do it in batches of 4 trees at a time. So that's what's left to put in. We'll get those cleared away. There we go. And take it from there. Okay, let's just move the arm back in again. This trailer's got a lot less wood on it, and the wood that's on here is a lot thinner and smaller, so we won't get a huge amount of cash for this load, even though there's just as many logs on there. The logs themselves are, as I say, they're thinner, so they're going to be worth less. Oops. Trying to do cruise control. And it's messing with the crane at the same time. Ah, this is ridiculous. There we go. Yeah, we're getting rid of this stepper. There's a reason why I didn't use it for 2 years, it would seem. Yeah, we'll go trade this in. Luckily, this tractor has some decent horsepower, so the additional weight of the timber runner plus a dolly won't be too bad, considering we've got 260 odd horsepower available to pull it. So it's a flat, straight line as well, pretty much. A slight incline up there, but relatively straightforward. If we were having to pull trees from the bottom of the mountain up to here, I wouldn't want to use this tractor-trailer combination. I'd probably use a truck instead. Right. So, how much will we get this time? 3.5 grand. So we've got, what, 8.5 last time, so we got 12 grand for 4 trees. That works out at 4 grand a tree. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. 4 grand a tree at 60 tree. Well, not 60, but you know what I mean. 4 grand at 60 trees is $240,000. That's pretty damn good. I doubt we'll actually get a full 240 grand, but yeah, hell, if we can get a couple of hundred grand, that'll be nice. And then we'll be able. Oh, look, that little bit there has just finally grown in. We're just going to leave that, and then we'll be able to, maybe look at potentially putting that towards, another land expansion. We'll put it in the bank to reduce our loan debt down a bit, reduce our nightly payments. But going forward, I would like to get Field 4, because we can combine the land with Field 4 and Field 5 together. That'll be a very, very nice farming area indeed around the side of that house. Get a lot of crop off that area. Although the other thing we could do is we could get a horse pen. I kind of want to wait and see what happens with the terraforming tool first, and I will be experimenting with that on a different file, so as not to damage Felsbrunn with some rookie mistakes on terraforming. Plus, any changes that I do make, I will be doing with autosave turned off, so that if I do screw up, I can reload the file and undo what I've done, because from what I've heard from some of you PC guys out there, there is no way to undo terraforming changes that you make. They are there until you rework the area at more expense to fix it. So yeah, let's go sell this stepper, pick up a timber runner and a dolly, head back up to the top, and then try cutting logs at some different lengths and see how much we'll get for the next batch of 4 trees. So here we are arriving back at the farm, and it looks a little bit desolate in a way now with one half of those trees cut out, doesn't it? So we're heading down to the bottom again, because we've got those other 4 trees that we need to delimb. I think they're already delimbed, but we need to cut and get onto the trailer and we want to see how much we'll get for these 4 trees. Now, we have seen selling trees in their entirety does not give good payouts. So instead, we're probably going to cut these into 2 bits, these trees here. And looking at it, I think just before it gets a bit wibbly wobbly is where we'll make the cuts. That is, of course, a technical term, wibbly wobbly. And for those of you who are Doctor Who fans, you'll also know that it can also be followed up with timey-wimey. But of course, that would only apply to time and not trees. There we go. So, this seams here, this bit here, just before, there's the wibbly wobbly bit, just there. This is where we're going to make our cut, kind of about here. So we'll have nice straight pieces for the first half of the trees, and they should be worth quite a bit of cash, I hope. And then the second half of the trees, not so much. But we'll see. So, again, stepping back. So the trees are all roughly the same kind of length and cut in roughly the same kind of position. There we go. Now we'll jump into the T6. Of course, this is where having that weight on the back is really going to help us out, because these trees are going to weigh quite a bit more. This might actually be a little awkward to get these in as well. These timber runners, they're ideally designed for logs that are about half the length. You can see there's the gap for the front loader there, and then there's a gap there for a front loader there, which suggests that the trees should be cut to about that kind of length there, cut here. We're going to try and sell them like that first of all, but we may well, depending on how well these sell in terms of their value, we may well cut these in half as well with the next batch. So let's see how we do. In terms of cost, we made 47,000 selling the timber runner back. Obviously it cost us 54, so we lost about 7 grand. And then buying the timber runner and the dolly and putting wide tyres on both of them cost me about 38 grand. So we recouped an extra 9 grand effectively by getting rid of the stepper and replacing it with this. Obviously, if we'd done that from scratch and just bought this instead of getting the stepper first, then we'd have had an extra sort of 7 grand on top of that as well. So we did lose a bit of cash as to what we could have ended up with, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah, a tree or two will make that, well, a couple of trees will make that lost money back. So let's just try and, there we go. Oops, I've hooked it again. Come on, it's actually got wedged. There we go. I have noticed that on the larger bits of wood, you know, obviously with scavenging it's a little bit different, but with these larger bits of wood, I have noticed that the same old issues with the log claws still exist. You know, the trees can be a little awkward to manipulate. They can just you know, drop their way out of the claw for no apparent reason. They can get stuck in the claw for no apparent reason. So all those kind of logging issues that we used to have in 17 still pretty much in full effect here in 19 as well. So not quite the improvement that I thought we were going to get. But this is definitely going to be a faster way for us to clear these trees. I mean, there we go. That's the first 4 logs done already. These ones might possibly even be light enough to pick up. No, not quite. But they're thin enough that we might be able to get 2. At the same time, we get them about halfway. Will that second one force its way out of the claw like it has been doing? We might get away with this. It's starting to separate. But we got away with it. There we go. And you can see how much quicker we've been able to load up these 4 trees. We're going to do it all in a single trip, and we'll probably get 3 times the number of trees on one of these trailers before we need to go and empty it. I'm just going to do these ones individually because it'll be easier to actually manage them. I'd like to have like a dedicated forestry setup if we're going to do trees on a regular basis. So I'd like to have a tree harvester. I mean, they are going to set me back an awful lot of money. I'd also like a dedicated way of loading those logs, be it either using maybe the new man truck or one of the forwarders, you know, either the Komatsu one or the Buffalo from Ponce. Or maybe just a telehandler with a bigger claw, or even a wheel loader perhaps with a bigger claw would be better than just using a front loader on a tractor like this. It would certainly be quicker if we could actually grab multiple logs comfortably. So let's go and see how much these are worth. So we're looking to make, with these 4 trees, we're looking to see if we make more than, what was it, 12 grand? 8.5 plus 3.5, so yeah, 12 grand. So, moment of truth time. If we make more like this, then that's very much a clear indication that this is the way to cut our logs going forward. If we make less, then we're going to need to make some adjustments, in which case we may chop them back into halves. You know, so we'll have 4 sets of logs per tree instead of 2. Oops, looks like we've taken a sign out. Never mind. It's kind of par for the course these days, isn't it? Taking out signs. Oh, a little bit of a struggle there. And the tractor is potentially losing a little bit of power because it hasn't been maintained for a while, so we'll give that a little tune-up in a moment as well. So, how much are we going to make? 13. So we made a little bit more. So it's not conclusive, but the difference is so small either way that, you know, we'll definitely go with the easier way of cutting the trees into 2 pieces rather than 1. That is most certainly going to be a much faster and more efficient way of loading our trailers. So I need to delimb this big pile of trees that we have over here, try and get them squared up a bit, because they are a bit of a mess at the moment, and then get them loaded onto our trailer, which is facing the wrong way. Let's turn around just so we can get to the sawmill a little bit easier. There we go. I need to go and give this a tune-up, don't I? And once we've done that, we'll get it loaded, we'll get the trees sold off, we'll do the second side, and hopefully end up with quite a nice little bit of cash at the end of the day. Alright, just finished delimbing the trees. What I would suggest is that you delimb them before you push them together, because it does get quite laggy around the canopy areas, especially when you're trying to delimb a whole bunch of trees like this. Plus, it is a little more awkward, and you do get a little bit of lag with the trees when you go near them anyway, when you've got that many piled together. So I would suggest that you kind of probably split them into half the size of the group that I've just created, and do them in smaller groups. They'll be easier to cut, easier to manage there immediately. As soon as we get alongside, you can see the lag that we're getting. Like that. It makes it a little bit more of a rougher experience. So to help eliminate that, yeah, grouping the trees together in smaller blocks would definitely be a good bit of advice, I think. So let's start cutting these trees. So again, these are going to be kind of rough measurements. Not completely perfect, but it will allow us to load these trees reasonably comfortably, I hope. And the lessons that we're learning doing this first side of trees are lessons that we can carry across when we do the second side, just to make our lives a little bit easier. So smaller groups, clean them before pushing them, and it'll make things easier in terms of lag management and actually getting the trees delimbed as well. It'll be easier to see what needs to be cut and where. There we go. So I'm going to carry on working these and catch up with you in a little while. Alright, it's a nice little load of logs there. Let's get these taken over to the sawmill. See how much we can get for these. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle getting going, but not too bad. A little bit of a hill. There we go, getting up to some speed. Got to be careful as well with the corners, don't want to roll the trailer. So we won't go flying in at top speed, we'll ease down a little bit. There we go. So this could be worth quite a bit of cash. These are all base pieces of trees, so all big, thick pieces of wood. Let's see. 34,688. That's nice. That's very nice. We've got 2 more trailers worth to go, I think. Well, maybe we might possibly be able to squeeze it all in one. These other bits, although they are a bit wobbly and curvy in places, they are a lot thinner. So we might possibly be able to get everything else onto one single trailer. If not, yeah, we'll do it in 2. But that's a pretty decent haul. I think my initial thoughts that we might get, just looking at the way that tractor's loading in stages, just a claw and a cab, you know, until we got closer. It looked a bit weird. Yeah, my initial prediction of a couple of $100,000, it seems as though it's going to be way off by the look of it. I think I got my maths wrong a bit. Well, there we go. Or maybe, yeah, just inconsistencies in the tree sizes. I don't know. We'll see how well we do after we've got the rest of these trees down and see where we sit financially. So I'm going to carry on loading lumber. We've still got a whole other side to do, as you can see. So we need to slow time down to make sure we can get all of this done today. We still need to buy a cultivator for our fields, and we still need to buy a plough as well, so let's actually go ahead and pay for those now. Let's see, in terms of cultivators, I have been looking at the options, and I'm going to go with this one here, the Catros from Amazona for 31,000, 6 meters, and needs 180 horsepower. We've got that easily on our case, and I'm going for that one over the Agramash, which is only 5 meters, simply because this one's going to take up a lot more space. Actually, no. Let's go with the Agramash, because it's 5 meters, but it's only 140 horsepower. So this way, either of our 2 tractors can be quite comfortable using that. So yeah, we'll get the Agramash, I think. Could be quite interesting using one of those. And again, we're trying to use new stuff, and we've used the Amazoner Catros in 17 and even 15 before. So let's go with something that's brand new. There we go. And then we need a plough. We're going to go the same plough we've always been using, which is this one. Although, actually, no, the Lemken. Yeah, we'll lease one of those. What's the overnight fee? 590. Yes, that's affordable. We'll lease one of these larger Lemkens. We've got enough power with our case to be able to use that, and we'll do that to recut our fields, to join them together, and potentially maybe even extend them ever so slightly at the other end as well. Is it me? Was that tree? Some of these logs are shorter than they should be. This is because I didn't line all the trees up perfectly, so this could affect the value of this load of wood. Just pull that there, like that. So yeah, we've got the equipment that we need. We still have 32,000 effectively, which is good. That'll all go into the bank overnight just to reduce our debt down, so we pay less in interest. And then I don't think we'll be making any other purchases for a while now. I was talking about maybe going with the horse idea. As things currently stand, we need around 270,000 to put a horse trailer in, sorry, a horse paddock in, given the terraforming in terms of the location I want to put it in. With the editing tool on the way, maybe that'll be a little bit cheaper, you know, to terraform the ground a bit and then place that stable in afterwards, so we might be able to get horses a fair bit sooner. And there's also other equipment that we could also look at, like mowers, so we can do some grass work, and then obviously, you know, reinvest in a baler, maybe even get a bale wrapper as well, so we can do some silage bales. Even though we can't sell them at the BGA, we can sell them at the barn, so that will give us a location where we could sell silage bales. And that should be a decent little money maker, I would have thought. So we have options, but I may just work on getting the debt down until we've got a good couple of $100 grand, you know, sort of available to us. I'll see how that goes. So I'll plod on with the logs, and I'll catch up with you in a bit. Okay, so we've cleared away the last of the logs from the first side of the trees here. Let's see how much we get for these. We've got about 28 grand for the second trailer. This is the third trailer to clear away all those trees that we cut down and had piled up there. And this is all just long spindly bits, where the last one was kind of a mixture of bits of both. Some were, you know, some of these taller, thinner spindly bits, other bits were sort of the base of the trunk, so thicker and fatter. And that last one, as I say, got us about 28.5. And so there we go. Does it give us a breakdown on our finance tab as to how much we've made from selling wood? Yeah, we've made 102,000. Actually, you know, I wasn't too far off with the 200 grand potentially. We've still got a lot of trees left to sell. I said, you know, in theory we should get for 60 trees, 240,000 roughly. Obviously, if you've got a variance in the size of the trees, which we do, then you're not going to get a perfect 4 grand for every tree. And we only have 57 trees, not 60, because we sold 3 in early stages. But yeah, we've got 100 grand from wood so far today. That's actually very encouraging. We've still got that second row of trees to cut down, and delimb and chop up and stick on the back of the trailer. So I reckon we've probably got another 85 grand or so, 80 to 85 grand standing there, because we've got a couple of trees missing at this end and a couple of trees missing at the other end. So I reckon we're probably looking at around about 85 grand or so. That's still a pretty nice amount, isn't it? Still to come. So that's really going to help us out. And we'll crack on with those trees next time out. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll be back with some more Farming Simulator 19 here on Felsbrunn Farm very soon.